So what's going on, guys? Today we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Universe Voyager class Blades. Now Blades here is a old figure, obviously. He's from the Universe line, which I think is like 2006. And he is a repaint of Cybertron Evac, who is probably one of the best Cybertron molds there is. Genuinely, and I mean, Cybertron's one of my personal favorite lines. I do love it. I have a lot of Cybertron figures. It was the first line I ever got as a kid. There's a lot to this that I love about Cybertron. I particularly love Panicky's. I do have a ton of them around, but the Panicky's, this is his. I would assume it's something like it. I'm pretty sure this is Blaster's Panicky from Universe, but I lost his. I think his might not have been quite as, like, shadowy. I think it might have been a lot more clear. Like, this is like a black shadow to it. It's like a black translucent blaster, like a gray. That's his Panicky. Otherwise, Blades here looks pretty good in his robot mode. He looks great, actually. Like, surprisingly, really, really great. He does have some big chunkiness on the arms due to the rotor blades and this hook. The hook does shoot out, like so. I just kind of ripped his arm out, but it does shoot out. And there's that little white button right there that if you press, it retracts the hook. Now, as far as it goes, another gimmick he has is you can rotate the rotor blades. You just kind of have to grab his arm correctly to get it to work right, because sometimes that happens. And you're probably noticing with the rotor blade, it looks a bit marred. My dog chewed it, like, years ago, and I was very mad about it, but I'm not as mad about it anymore. I still love the figure. It's not a big thing. I'm sure lots of people have had it happen. Most of my stuff's on shelves now. At the time, it wasn't on a shelf. I think it was on probably the floor, because I was playing around with it. And yeah, my dog chewed it. So, there's that. I don't know if you can hear him in the background right now, but he's barking. But, yeah. Other than that, looks pretty great. The paint on the chest, you see it's a bit chipped, but I'm expecting that. Also up here on the rotor, it's chipped. And, yeah, it looks pretty great. It has these smaller rotors. I don't know what they're actually called. Fans at the rear end of a helicopter. I don't know what they're actually called, but they are there. And they do look pretty decent. Looking at the head sculpt of Evac, looks pretty good. Does have light piping, which is something I don't think anyone else I've reviewed has had yet. And it is blue. This is a black light pen, so I know. But it's blue light piping, so it's not going to affect it. But, yeah. His legs are pretty much just the front half of a helicopter. You can kind of see he has, like, the whole cockpit section there. And yeah, he does have the giant pylons sticking off the shoulders. I really didn't mention, other than the fans, you can fold them down. You can, but I'm pretty sure Evac in the show has them out, so I'm gonna leave them out. I'm pretty sure that was probably just a packaging decision, because I don't think the packages were this wide. I also don't know if he was even packaged in robot mode. He could have been packaged in his alt form, for all I know. Starscream's hand was folded up back there, and that just kind of bothered me. Other than that, looks pretty good. Panicky gimmick. So the Panicky gimmick, right here on the back. Put the Panicky in, like so, and out springs to missile launchers, which I don't have the missiles for. And, I mean, that's pretty alright, I guess. It's, like, most standard Panicky gimmicks. I mean, some of them are wild, some of them are just that, and some of them are flat-out bad. So, we kind of got the middle ground Panicky gimmick of being a spring-out launcher. That's fine. It's a fine enough gimmick. His articulation, then, he has a swivel in the head. Shoulder moves forward, lots of ratchets, tons of ratchets in this guy. Back, not so much, mainly because of these, and even if you fold it down, it doesn't matter. outward. That's going to fall off anyway. Might as well just take it off, because after this, we're doing transformation. Elbow. No wrist swivel. He does have, however, a waist swivel. And forward and back. Not so much back, though. If these were up, you get way more. They do move outward, like so. And knee joint one. Really heavy ratchets. Kind of scary. I hope that doesn't break. So yeah, that is Evac in his robot mode. So let's get him into his copter form. So the first thing we're going to do is flip in his hands like so. Pretty much the easiest step of the entire thing. Take his arms, and you might as well do this pretty quickly. I just pushed down his head on accident, but yes, push down his head. You can take those, do that. Oh, I just popped off the back panel. That's a problem. Come on, get on there. There we go. Take his arms, fold them forward like so. I actually don't have them the right way. They're supposed to be rotated in like that. Pop it off, rotate it down. I think I had it off camera because they take a decent amount of effort to pop off sometimes. Take the upper section where the rotor blade pegs into, and that will also allow you to peg the other arm in, keeping them in place. So it's a head, push it down. Keep it pushed down, and then push that forward. Flip back these sections. They will peg together. Come to the legs. Flip up the skirts. Rotate his legs around. Bend them back. And you can affix the feet to be properly transformed. I'm going to take the arms off the desk so I don't ruin anything, because that's a clip, like an actual clip. Push that up into place. Do that. Come underneath. He does have landing gear. Come underneath. Put those on. And then fold these out. Oh. I had that in and now I can't find the peg. That's awesome because they like rotated the 1 second it was in there. And there is Evac in his alternate form. And it looks really good. It's just primarily a red helicopter with some white accents, but yeah. I like the little Autobot Coast Guard logo back here. I think that looks pretty great. The Coastal Rescue. Obviously it says that on the side here as well. Doesn't say it on the other side because there's a winch in the way. Which you can articulate. It's not just straightforward. It is articulate. It's also on a ratchet. Man, ratchets were common back then. Now the only figure I've gotten recently with a ratchet was Kingdom Ultra Magnus. That was it. That's craziness to me. Deluxes don't have ratchets anymore, and I don't really think Voyagers do either. It's kind of wild. Because it used to be on everything, and I mean everything. The clicks coming out of these guys was insane. You can, in this mode, spin the rotor way better, because it has a way better gripping point that you're not going to be blocking it. And the planet key, of course, inserts onto the back. And it springs the guns forward again, which I think does look better in this form, and I think it works better in this form because they're facing forward and not upward. So yeah, there is that. It looks pretty good in this form, I think. I think this is probably one of the better helicopters, other than the massive gaps in the middle. It's a bit iffy there. I mean, what you can do about it, it's just kind of how it is. Sadly. So yeah, that's his alt form. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty great. So let's get to my thoughts on this figure. So my thoughts on Blades as a whole and the Evac mold. Yeah, I see why this thing is loved so much. It's quite a good figure, and I do like it quite a lot. And, I mean, I don't really have any issues with it. But I'm not going to say it's perfect, because it's not perfect. It certainly isn't perfect. It is good, however, and you probably just noticed that I used the blades to get the heel out. This one has a peg on it, so you can actually get it out pretty easy. This one doesn't, so you kind of have to use these to get it out. Now, while the majority of the figure is good, the Ultimo with the gaps is a bit iffy, and I mean, the arms are chunktacular, to say the least, with the winch and the blade thing. I get the blade thing, but the winch being there is a bit weird to me. You can use it as a mace, which is nice. This Panicky gimmick also lets them down because it's not like a good one. It's kind of a generic one. Pop-out missile launchers. I mean, that happens a lot with these guys. I think it's an iffy one at best. But yeah, in my opinion, I'm going to give blades here and the evac mold itself, I'm going to give it a 4. There's some letdowns to it, but there's not a ton. It's not perfect, but I mean, it is close to it. Not 4.5 worthy, because there's more issues with it than, say, what I had with Bumblebee, where it was just a backpack thing. But yeah, that's my review on blades. This has been Eilt, Eilt, Elite, whatever you want to call me, signing out.